Hello and welcome to Studyiq. I am your friend Rahul Saigankar. I hope you are in good spirits. Today we are going to discuss about the lost wax technique or the Cire Perdue technique. The discussion pertains to metal casting. I'm quite sure that you must have heard about the bronze sculptors from the Harappan age or the Indus Valley civilization. The most prominent among the examples is the dancing girl statue, the bronze statue. That means the ancient Indians, they had the knowledge of casting. So today we are going to talk about the metal casting process of lost wax technique, and there is a term written here, dhokra, because we'll understand that the ideas which are very prevalent even during the ancient age are still continuing in the tribal cultures in India. That is the theme of our discussion. In fact, let me begin with a small question, a very prominent question. The Cire Perdue or the lost wax casting technique was widespread during the Indus Valley civilization, predominantly in Harappa. We do know that. Now, since that time, around 2500 BC, today we are living in 2022, the technique has continued. The names have changed. The techniques have continued. We have evidences from the Harappan age. We have evidences in the ancient times, the medieval times, the modern times. So the ancient practice is still quite prevalent in many parts of our country. Try to discuss this by giving certain examples, and one of the prominent examples would be the dhokra shilp or the dhokra casting, which is found predominantly in the central and the east Indian states. Let's talk about the lost wax technique. That would be the agenda in this video. And if you're preparing for competitive exams, do not forget to visit our website or download our app from Google Play Store, where you'll get all the information about us. And whenever you're checking out of Studyiq, use the code Rahul33, where you'll get 33% extra discount on any course across Studyiq. Do remember, this is a holy sale going on. It will be only available till 21st March 2022. Right, let's begin our discussion by an observation. I'm quite sure that you all have seen this particular picture. If you have not seen the statue in the National Museum, New Delhi, you must have seen this in a book, in a newspaper, or predominantly if you're preparing for the examination, you must have seen this in the NCERT for sure. Right? Now, the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro is one of the earliest examples of the lost wax bronze figurines. This clearly shows that the Indians, they knew the lost wax technique or the Cire Perdue technique for creating these bronze sculptures. Now, a question might come in your mind right now, sir, why are we talking about the bronze sculptures here? There are so many bronze sculptures, right? Before that, there were stone sculptures. Why did we shift towards this bronze again? There is a lot of aesthetic benefit, isn't it? Because these figures, if they are polished, they would be shiny. They would be, again, as the ideas of religion became more and more prominent, then these sculptures became again more and more popular. Especially the god and goddesses figurines, they became very prominent during the medieval times, right? So we do find evidences of the stone base or the masonry base sculptures and the bronze sculptures also, but bronze sculpture has continued from the ancient times. Right from the Harappan age, we have seen the evidences even in the modern period. Now, first of all, what is this lost wax technique? Let's try to understand this. See, this lost wax technique is an idea of creating a sculpture. Now, sculpture means I want a particular shape out of bronze. Now, when I say bronze, now what is this bronze made up of? Bronze is an alloy of copper and tin. Please do remember this. Do not get confused with brass. All right. So bronze is a mixture of copper and tin predominantly. There are some other metals also included. But if we talk about the ancient and the medieval times, various other alloy-based sculptures have also been found, right? So if I want a figurine like this, I need to have a mold, isn't it? So lost wax technique, it uses wax which is lost, right? So what is done? See, if I have a core or if I have a mold, if I have to make this particular pen, right? I have to make a brass pen out of this. So what do I need? I need a mold. Now, if I get a mold like this, if I make a mold like this of wax and then push sand and the other material around this, then if I fire this, there would be an empty core which will be left out, and if I pour the molten metal into the enclosure, I can get a solid pen like this, right? It's a simple process. So what happens is, if I am not making a solid pen like this, if I want a hollow figurine, say imagine I want a hollow figurine, something like this, where inside there is nothing. If I want to make a bell, for example, there would be a clay core. clay core of this particular shape, and over which what I make is I put a wax covering on this. So on a core, I make a wax covering. Now, why do I use this wax? See, first of all, wax is very easy to work. It has decent amount of strength. It can be molten. Basically, when you just melt it, it can move very easily by leaving the outer covering or the outer shell, right? So I put wax on this particular core. If I want to make a bell, right? I'm giving example of a bell, but I want intricate carvings on this particular bell. So what do I make? I enclose it with wax, and I can make work on this wax very easily. I can carve out the wax and make some sort of a shape or a figure, isn't it? So once I make it, the details, so here exactly the detail is added. Then if you're from a mechanical engineering, or if you know about foundry, you know spruce and gates are added, right, to add molten metal, and then clay is pasted around it. Now once you put clay around it, that means a mold is created, and then a mantle is added. Mantle means the external enclosure. If you have done your foundry, you'll see that there will be two boxes, one box like this, the other box like this. Just keep a mold and put sand around it, sand or clay around it, and then punch it. So what happens? Everything is inside, right? Your clay core is inside, your wax is inside, but the structure is there. Now once I bake that particular thing, the wax is melted and the wax moves out. So once the wax is lost, what is left out? An enclosure like this. I hope you can imagine what is happening, right? I told you I'm going to make a bell like this. So inside there is already a core which can be broken off very easily because it is clay. And the wax melts out. The wax is melted out from here. And now I pour bronze and let it cool. Now in this process we use annealing. Now annealing means slow cooling. Normally we use annealing or tempering. When you temper, you just take the hot or solidified metal and cool it very quickly. Tempering is cooling it very quickly. Annealing is cooling it very slowly. So it is annealed. It is allowed to just settle down, and once it settles down, then the mold is broken off so that the casting is left out. I hope you can imagine the entire process. Why is it called lost wax? Because the wax is a mold, or the wax is a shape which we give, and once that wax melts, it is lost, it is gone. Though we can reuse it. Earlier they used to call it lost wax because they did not reuse it, because if you pour hot molten metal on it, the wax would basically disappear. It would melt, it would turn into gases, etc. So you have to find new wax. And in the ancient times, what was the wax they used? They used bee wax. You know honey, right? You take out the honey, then there is a beehive left, you get wax from that. So that was the wax which was used. And we have evidences of this kind of lost wax technique, or Cire Perdue, from many places, right? See, Indus Valley civilization is predominant example. In many spots in Indus Valley civilization, we have found this. This clearly shows that our ancestors had very good metallurgical skills, but not just in the Harappan age. We have evidences of bronze sculptures and statues from various places. Buddhist statues, Jain statues, Hindu statues, right from 2nd century AD to 16th century AD. Let me give you some examples of this. Again, you can find many other examples in the Indian Art and Culture book NCRT, but why I have shown this is from ancient times, we have seen so many evidences. The dancing girl from the Harappan period around 2500 BC approximately, right? If you move ahead, we have the bronze statues of even the Jain Tirthankara Rishabh Deva's bronze statue is found in Chausa. You have Sultanganj Buddha statue in Bihar. Apart from that, in the southern India also, there were very prominent Chola bronze sculptures. The Nataraja sculpture is very well known. Even today in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, the bronze sculpturing is very well known. Not just in the central India, South India, we have evidences even towards the northern side. Bronze art of Chamba in Himachal is very well known. In Chamba, Himachal, there are many evidences of Hindu bronze sculptures. As late as 16th century, the Vijayanagara bronze art was very prominent. This is one of the examples of Vijayanagara bronze art. Again, lost wax technique, where the Krishna Devarayalu was there. Two of his wives, Chinna Devi and Tirumala Devi's sculpture is their very predominant example. Right? So there are evidences right from the ancient time till the medieval time into the modern era also. There have been documented evidences also. The lost wax technique or the Cire Perdue is mentioned in Shilpa Shastras 320 to 550 AD. Apart from that, in Vishnu Samhita, in Manna Solasa, in Shilpa Ratna around 16th century, all these have been mentioned. They are present even till date. That means the art survives even today in many parts of India. In fact, if you're a mechanical engineer or if you're well versed with the casting ideas, you must have heard of something called as precision investment casting, right? Investment casting. These days, wax or polystyrene or any other type of investment is used. Investment means the same, lost wax. It's called as investment. The material instead of wax which is used, it is wasted. It is invested while making the casting. So this is the modern term or the modern idea, precision investment casting. Very intricate designs can be made out of this. In fact, it is very prevalent even today in the central Indian parts. It is called as Dhokra Shilp. We began with the discussion of this term, Dhokra, D-H-O-K-R-A, Dhokra, S-H-I-L-P. Dhokra Shilp is something which is very predominant in the central Indian and the eastern Indian states. Dhokra Damar tribes are traditional metalsmiths found in West Bengal and Odisha. They have spread out in many parts like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, MP as well. Different communities of Dhokra like the Gadwas, Ghasis, Gatras, Khaser, Mangan, Vishwakarmas, they work in different regions and today they are still working. These are the tribes which are working towards creating these bronze sculptures. In fact, in 2018, the Dhokra Shilp or the Dhokra craft from West Bengal, it was given a geographical indication tag. Not just in West Bengal, there is, again, you must have heard of the Uruli. Uruli is a term from Kerala. Uruli is a term for utensils. In fact, the same lost wax technique or Cire Perdue is used in Kerala for creating bronze utensils. Again, during the Chola period, later on in Tamil Nadu, even today, we have evidences of these. And if you are aware of any tribes or any terms related to this, do put it in the comment section and tell us about the survival of this art. Today, in India, the most prominent example is the Dhokra Damar tribes or the Dhokra Shilp, which is basically the Cire Perdue technique itself, the lost wax technique. But I have one more assignment for you, a small food for thought. Now, as I told you, these are the tribes which work towards this lost wax casting technique. What might be the problem they are facing? Because these are the tribes, and if they rely for their livelihood on the Dhokra Shilp, what problems they might face? In general, whatever the problems of tribes are there, yes, of course, but one of the problems that I told you, initially they started with bee wax, right? But do you think bee wax is very prominent today? This is one of the problems. What are the other problems that are faced by these Dhokra tribes? Do let me know in the comment section so that you research and tell me how can we keep this Dhokra Shilp intact? How can we help? How can the government help these Dhokra tribes so that they continue their traditional crafts? It is said that very few, just hundreds of metalsmiths who are well versed. Again, this particular technique, which has its own intricacies, it is transferred from one generation to another generation orally, right? So there are very few metalsmiths from these tribes who are left out. And if we have to safeguard this tribal culture, then the government initiatives have to come. Do let me know what are the problems so that the government can come up with some initiatives for these tribes. Now, with that note, let me end my discussion. Thank you for watching this. Jai Hind.